What's up?
What's up? I just was thinking while I was listening to that amazing intro music that the majority of the people that watch the Sober Heathen are not okay. Let me rephrase that. The majority of the people who listen to the Sober Heathen podcast are doing exactly that. uh, YouTube has a little bit of a following, but I was checking out my what's it called, Acast, where I distribute my podcast, and most people are listening. So they don't get to see the fake graphics that I have up there of people wearing my swag, which that swag does not exist.
Oh, it's awesome. I'll have to make a link and make some.
Hey, you know what? I just we'll just keep putting content out, and if things happen and I can make some, then I will. If not, although there are people who get really, really upset when you say that you're willing to monetize your content when it comes to recovery, because
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
so
there's those websites where you can do. They'll do individual prints. Basically you set up your account with your graphics and stuff, and what kind of items you want. You don't have to have an inventory or anything.
that's true. That's true.
Like even Vistaprint, which used to just be business cards, does it now?
No kidding. I mean, it is a pretty cool logo.
I like it. Like
all right, fine. Fuck it. I'll set it up. What's the worst thing that can happen?
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, we got a few people on here, all on X.
Yeah.
Get them some comments. How do we make that happen?
So what I'm thinking is I got to watch it on my phone, and then if they comment on X, I'll see it that way. I'm not sure. We're noobs. You know what I mean? We're noobs. Well, there's our live. Okay, so now I'm going to turn it down. I'm going to type in hello. There, I got the party started. Oh, look, it pops up on my in here, but I can't respond with X, but I can see them. So yeah, go ahead and throw some comments in if you're listening to this on your Friday night at 8:10 Eastern time.
Oh, didn't put mine up there.
I saw a reply. What's up? That's so weird. I was trying before we got on. I was trying to figure out how to do the old TikTok live, and couldn't get it figured out. But I think that's another place that we could go, because I'm barely trying on that thing, and I'm getting some followers. So
assuming it doesn't get yanked.
Yeah, well, I don't think it's going to. I think it's just a power play or an attempt at a power play. But what do I know?
You might be right. We'll see. I don't see the company, like TikTok, the company abandoning their, what was it, the stipulations of that. They had to sell it without the algorithm or some crap.
I'd have to look it up, but yeah, they had to sell. Certain people had to sell it, I think, right? Certain shareholders had to sell. But I don't know. I look at TikTok and I'm scrolling through it, and my algorithm will change by me liking one video from another. I go on Facebook, and it's popping things up that I searched on Google for, and and half my feed, because I don't have my Facebook is just people that I know. I don't outside of the Sober Heathen page, but I mean my personal page.
Yeah,
and it's showing me all kinds of shit that matters not to me whatsoever. I mean, I hate Facebook. I don't hate it. It's ridiculous, but
I do think that unless you've turned off the active listening feature on your device, the microphone's always working. But what a lot of people don't realize is yeah, man, I wasn't even talking about it. My dad was searching for something, and now I'm getting ads for the same thing, and we never even had a conversation about it.
Yeah.
What it is when like you're hooked up to a Wi-Fi network, So I live in my grandmother's old house, and our Wi-Fi's are right next to each other. So I'm on his Wi-Fi all the time. He's on my Wi-Fi all the time. So it doesn't really matter wherever we are. Phones work, but the service provider also collects all that data and sells that data.
Yeah.
And so it knows when two people are near each other. If person A talks about something or searches something, then it correlates that to person B being next to you. So it's going to give you the same things person A searched for. And
it's almost as if everybody's already doing what they're claiming TikTok is doing. And it's like, oh my God.
Yeah. Yep. And Google sells to Facebook, and Facebook sells to Google, and
yeah, man. And Facebook, I mean, it's a done deal that Facebook was being, manhandled, if you would, or strongly suggested to control certain content out for a long time there.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah. So what are we going to get into?
Huh?
So what are we going to get into here?
Sounds like conspiracy theories over social media.
Hey, we can go down that rabbit hole for a little bit.
Just kidding. I mean, eventually I would like the podcast to be a little more than just recovery, because there's a lot more to this world, and you need something to talk about outside of recovery, because if that wasn't the case, then you and I, when we come on here and talk about how we want to be free of it, you know what I mean? It wouldn't be really genuine.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about working out and fitness. I started that conversation.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you want to tell everybody your?
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what. Well, I know what started it is I decided at work that every time I'd get up to go to the bathroom or get something to drink or go talk to somebody, I would walk from one end of the building to the other.
Yeah.
And that was just the kind of the beginning of it. Plus, looking at my marshmallow man figure in the mirror every day was not something that was, a joy to do. So
right.
I started doing that, and then Miley's son wanted a weight bench and a little treadmill for his birthday. We got that, and I kind of just sat collecting dust for a little while, and then all of a sudden, after walking and get a little bit of energy, I went to the gym a couple times, and it started to perk me up a little bit. So I put the weight bench together, and after I do this, I'm gonna go down and work out. There'll be 7 days in a row.
Nice.
Lifting and doing some crunches on this little bar thingy that she's got, I woke up this morning. I started last Friday, and so I'm down 9 pounds in a week, which we know that when you start doing something, it can be glorious to look at the weight scales in the first little bit. So just going to try to keep that momentum going.
Yeah, that's great, man. That's great. It's so my background prior to talking about recovery and safety and all this stuff is strength and conditioning and nutrition and stuff. So it's amazing what the body does when it's sedentary. So it basically is like, oh, we're not going to use all this stuff that we got, stored around here. All right, well, let's just kind of put everything into sleep mode, and a lot of your cellular processes kind of just slow down and just kind of chill out. But as soon as you start the engine going again, you remember that? Did you ever see that movie Battleship?
Yeah.
So like they're trying to restart Mighty Mo, the was it Mighty Missouri or whatever, steam engine battleship, not a nuclear powered destroyer. It's like thing still purrs like a kitten. It's sitting there waiting. As soon as you put the stick to it and light that engine up, the body kind of does the same thing and starts turning on all these processes again and kind of turn the dial up and the volume up on them and get your metabolism cranking. You start going through and you're recycling all these bits and pieces of your cell structures that were just kind of sitting there. And so you start flushing out a lot of stuff. And that's where a lot of that initial weight loss is. But yeah, I know you got to just feel better already.
Yeah, dude, I feel great. Yeah. And I've been doing the fasting, not exactly consistent, but like today 18 hours, and then I ate. And so it's like getting easier and easier to do that.
Yeah. And honestly, that is what is really kicking the weight loss into high gear more so than the exercise at this point. So that's great.
Yeah.
There's so much benefit to fasting that we're really kind of just cracking the surface on from a medical science standpoint. Some phenomenal stuff there.
Yes, well, I mean, I was just thinking about it the other day, and again, I'm not a weight loss person, and I'm not a doctor, but you know, I can't imagine all that long ago that we didn't eat whenever we wanted to.
No, not at all.
So we got it when we could get it.
Yep.
And then I started thinking about, what about a tiger? You know how strong tigers and lions are? You know, they're not eating all fucking day long. They're, you know, they'll go make a kill, they'll eat till they're full, then they'll sleep. And then when they get hungry and get the itch to go eat again, they'll go do it. And these things are fucking beasts, man.
Yep. Yeah, same thing. The evolutionary biology is a fascinating field to me because it kind of correlates to epigenetics, what we talked about in the past, which is the power of your beliefs and your thoughts and your emotions to change the chemical structure of what stem cells are growing in. So evolutionary biology is kind of the brother or the sister to that way of thinking. So we think we're smart humans and we figured all this stuff out, but when you stop and you look at it from a huge macro timeline perspective, humans have been around for like that much of the timeline,
Yeah.
So it's like, there's a lot of stuff we don't really know yet.
No, but we all know that there are people that pretend like they got it all figured out.
Yeah.
Sell a book, to sell a recipe book, to sell a video.
Yeah.
And I think one cool thing that you can believe about us is we tell you straight up, we know nothing.
Nice. Yeah. I know what I do.
We know some things, I think. Like
I would say that I'm pretty aware of what I don't know within the context of what I do know.
Yeah.
Yeah, intermittent fasting is cool. I would say most days I'm on a 16, 17, 18 hour fast and I eat the rest of the time. Depending on the day, I might go 20, 22. And then some days I get up and actually have breakfast. So the key to intermittent fasting is that it is truly intermittent. That keeps your body guessing. At the beginning, what you're doing, it just an 18-6 or 24 is you can do that until you kind of get close to your goal weight, and then you start playing around with the timing. So I think it's a great way to eat.
I'm like 40 pounds away from my goal weight, so I got a lot of intermittent fasting to.
You'd be surprised. How quick it comes off, man. You see, I guarantee you, and you keep it up, 3 months, 4 months, right by the end of the summer, you can be like, damn, I need like pants.
Good. God, I cannot wait to spend some money on pants, my friend. I tell you what, dude. Like, no, you know what? I decided to get in recovery, and then I put in all this work for that, and now it's time to move on to the next health phase. I look at, I'm a WWE guy. That's my guilty pleasure. And Miley and I, that's something that we do, is watch Raw and SmackDown. And AJ Styles, he's a 46-year-old wrestler, dude, and he just came back, and this dude is fucking ripped. I mean, I don't know how he did it in that short amount of time. And then I look at Edge. He went from WWE over to AEW, just to show that I flex my little knowledge there, even though it's nothing like anybody that knows anything about wrestling. They're just like, okay. But anyway, Edge is 50 fucking years old, dude, and he looks great.
Huh.
Like he is a phenomenal shape. And you look at The Rock. That mother effer is just a tank. And I think he's probably 48 now, I think.
Oh yeah, he's up there.
Yeah. So anyway, the whole point of bringing that up is I'm 42, and I was trying to convince myself, well, there's no point. You're 42.
Yeah, man, you're almost dead. Don't you know
Yeah.
that?
Well, that's exactly what my mind was telling me. Does that sound like some fucking shitty thinking or what?
That is some shitty thinking. Yeah, and I feel sorry. I'm going to call the lady out. I mean, not by name, but if for some reason she's listening, I don't mean this offense to offend you, but somebody had commented about how she felt like her life was over. She's 60 something years old on something I posted. I said, come on, 60 is a new 40. Get back out there. You can do it. She did not like that. She was very much 60 is not the new 40. My knees hurt, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, I know enough to leave this one alone. But I wanted to say is perspective and perception, but it's how you look at it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at a lot of people now and, in their 50s, and it's like, man, they look pretty damn good. So, I mean, there's still a lot of life to live. I just had a lady in my office yesterday, and she's 62, and she can't kick the habit. And she's relapsed at least once a week since she started there. Her PO said she was going to send her to this boot camp style treatment, or she could go to our home base. And so she came in, and it was just crazy to see, man, because it was a lot of like, well, yeah, I'll call him tomorrow. I got too much stuff to do this weekend. I'm like, oh man, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, really? Like, what?
Yeah. Let me tell you the story. When I was a young whippersnapper in early recovery, I talked about how I called the place. I knew I was in a bad way, and I'd just gotten out of there a month prior. And I called and I said, "Hey, do you guys have a bed ready?" They're like, "Hey, Scott," and they remembered me. And the guy's one of the nicest people on the planet. He's like, "I just don't have anything till like Tuesday, dude." And I'm like, "All right, that sucks. All right, well, I'll see you guys on Tuesday." And I hung up the phone, and like 5 minutes later, he calls back. He's like, "Hey, I got you a bed. Can you get here today or tomorrow?" And I'm like, and by already in that 5 minutes, I was going Tuesday. And so I'm like, well, let me see if I can find a ride. And I hung up the phone and I set the phone down and I let the phone sit there. And I stared at the half gallon or fifth or whatever I had in front of me. And like, glug, 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 glug. Wait. Called him back. Yeah, I can't get there until Tuesday. And so I'm like, does that sound familiar? Like, yeah, but I don't have any clean clothes and I don't have any of this and I don't have any of that. And I'm like, so I said all these things, and then her therapist walked in and said the exact same things that I was saying to her. And she's like, "What do you guys have, a book? Do you guys have a book that you read off from?"
It's like, no.
It's like, yeah, it's like, just, I know what's going on because I've been there. And it's like, I know how I feel at 42. So I can't imagine somebody that's in their 60s trying to get this right for the first time, but she still has reasons. I won't tell her story, but there's people that are pulling for her, and people she wants to be around, and people she doesn't want to disappoint.
Yep.
So she's supposed to go there. Hopefully they called her back, and hopefully I'll see her on Monday catching the bus down, because it's another great thing that my place does. Every Monday a bus comes to our facility and we'll drive you down to our inpatient facility, which is like a 2-hour drive. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I didn't know anything about treatment facilities or anything about rehab until I went to one. And I went to ones that were within a couple-hour drive of where I live, but there were people flying in, and I can remember the text saying, "Hey, I need a van or something. I got to go pick somebody up from the airport." And I kind of looked at the guys like, "There's not an airport around here." It's like, "Yeah, well, Atlanta." I'm like, "That's a 4-hour drive from here. You want to pick somebody up?" It's like, "Yeah, you're flying in for treatment." I was like, Jesus.
God damn. Yeah, and imagine being detoxing for that 4 hours on that ride. Son of a bitch.
No, I'd be drinking in the airport and on the plane probably.
Oh my God. Well, my grandfather took me it was just under 2 hours to where I went at Harbor Hall. And I mean, I remember laying in the back seat, just miserable.
Yeah.
So what we're talking about?
Talk about some memories, man. Whew.
Yeah.
Oh, we were on fitness, and then we were on nutrition for a minute and fasting, and we got into excuses, I think.
Yeah. Well, we started talking about age a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we were talking about that too. Maybe I won't bring that up. I won't bring that up yet.
Okay.
I won't bring that up yet.
Uh-oh.
So if anybody is listening to this, and it probably won't be till later. So if you're listening to this not on the live and you enjoy hearing Adam and I, hi, I'm Only Human. If you enjoy hearing us talk and like what we do, please shoot me an email at thesilverheathen@yahoo.com and let us know any topics
Yeah.
like our opinion on. And that's all it is opinion. I'm not an expert other than on myself and my journey.
Yep.
But
Same.
we love to get on here and talk and communicate with you guys. And, I don't know, maybe say something that somebody could find useful once in a while.
That I'm Only Human, so I'm gonna throw this up here. This reminds me, there's a song that is just great. And I cannot think of the guy's name, but the lyric, he goes, what's he say? I'm only human. Don't put your blame on me. I have to find that and put that on X.
Well, maybe sing it for us. We'll catch the tune.
Let's see here.
I was singing country to Miley earlier.
Oh, really?
Making up my own country songs. Yep. I'm not a good singer at all, but I was singing things about how my dog died and my woman left me, and I'm drinking, swerving on a dirt road, and wholesome things that country sings about. If you couldn't tell by that comment, I'm not a country fan.
That's what I was just thinking. Oh man, I can't find it. What is that guy's name? Oh well. What is the album's artist? I'm not gonna waste time. Oh, you guys somewhat know me from my podcast. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Who is that?
She does a podcast. I think if I'm thinking of who it is, it's a she, but I don't want to guess wrong, even though I've already said it out loud. But yeah, I think it's the same name podcast.
Oh, okay. Must be living under a rock.
Oh, she talks to Lindsay all the time. Okay. Well, welcome to the boys show.
Gotcha. Cool. Yeah, Lindsay got famous and she didn't hang out with us anymore.
Yeah, she says we're ugly and can't read good.
We don't speak fast enough.
I love you, Lindsay.
Just
the best. Remember us when you're off in Hollywood.
Oh my goodness. So trying to think of stuff to talk about. I just thought today about people who live in the present moment, or maybe it's not the way to put it, but kind of people you look around to make sure. So like I said, I live next door to my parents, my mom to walk in all of a sudden. But I would say I'm a pretty laid back guy. I think anybody that is around me would agree with that. My mom is not laid back. She is a worrier. I wouldn't say she's anxious all the time, but she's constantly thinking about things and, what if this happens and that could happen, and did you take care of this, and but that might happen, so we need to take care of this. And it's not wearing on my nerves, but I find myself more and more frequently like enforcing my own boundary by just saying, okay, mom, sounds good. And then, leaving the conversation. So it's, I think when you're somebody who tries to live in the present moment and you're not focused on your past and you're not focused on things that you can't control that are out in the future that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
When you're around somebody like that, you don't realize how much energy that zaps out of you.
Yes.
And I never really I never noticed that until probably the last 6, 8 months. It's kind of slowly been wearing at me in the last few weeks, month, 6 weeks. It's kind of been like, and just breathe, chill out, relax. Anyway.
No. I mean, you could have been talking about my grandma who raised me when you're talking about
Yeah.
that. I just, just everything is a worry. You know what I mean? Like, it's too hot, it's too cold.
Yeah.
You're not wearing enough clothes. Did you eat today? Did you go to the bathroom yet? Like, hello, the 30s and 40s here. I think I got the bowel system under control.
Exactly. I wouldn't. She's not asking me about the bathroom now, but so I got a speeding ticket back in January. So I was coming down a section of the interstate near the house. And it's one of these sections of the interstate that's been under construction for like 10 years, So it's a work zone. There hasn't been anybody working in this work zone since I was like, I don't know, 33, 34. I'm 40 now. So it's been a long time. Everybody just does a speed limit through there. Sometimes you got to slow down. Sometimes you don't. So there's kind of like you come around the curve. I happen to be the first guy in the line of traffic, not going above what would normally be the speed limit, but going above the work zone speed limit. And State Patrol is sitting there behind a Jersey barrier, shot me. I pulled over, got a ticket. She's sitting there, she's freaking out about the ticket and this and this and this. And I was like, well, Mom, I was speeding in the work zone. I mean, he has every right to pull me over and give me a ticket. Yeah, but, and then all these excuses about why I shouldn't have gotten one. I said, look, I'll fight it. Haven't had a speeding ticket in 20 years. There's nothing. It's not like I'm a habitual speeder. There were no workers present. We can go back, and if I want to, I can pull up the work history for this area and show there haven't been workers present. I'm not worried about it. But that's my mentality. It's like, look, this is what I can control. This is what I can't control. This is how I'm going to choose to respond to this, versus all these possibilities that we've got to now try and figure out a strategy or figure out a way to overcome and beat when they're not even in existence.
Yeah.
It's just like,
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, this came in my head and it's not really the same thing, but I know, so Miley and I were kind of worried about my grandma's house after she passed, about the electricity being shut off and that stuff. So it's like, oh, well, we have to pay the energy bill. We got to pay this. So I made some payments and paid some of her bills, with the money that she had left. And then I went and talked to the lawyer about selling the house. And she's like, okay, don't pay any more bills.
Yeah.
She's like, have you paid any bills? I'm like, yeah. Yeah, well, don't do that anymore. And I was like, well, son of a bitch. But it's like, well, all these what ifs we created in our head and didn't think calmly. It's like, well, what are they going to do? They're going to shut it off. And so.
Exactly.
So it's like, fuck. So we dropped some of my money and then most of what grandma had left on taking care of her business and lesson learned.
Yep. It's one of the, I can't remember if it was Joe Dispenza who says it, or I think it's Joe Dispenza. And if you're interested in kind of how the brain creates reality, he has this saying where he says, you're now trying to figure out, or you're now trying to imagine a solution to a problem that you imagined, but you've forgotten that you imagined the problem. That makes sense?
Yeah.
You've created a problem. You forgot you created it. And now you're trying to create a solution for this imaginary problem that you forgot you imagined. It's like, man, that's just such a yes to how so many people go about life.
Yeah.
And when I stop and slow down and go, all right, what am I actually creating here? What am I doing? What am I controlling? Am I reacting? Am I responding? What am I doing? It just puts everything into much clearer perspective.
Yeah. And if you can really sit and think about it, which a lot of us don't do, and reflect on these things.
Yeah.
Like last weekend, I was out laying in a chair getting some sun, and I created this whole scenario where I was arguing with this dude from work in my head, and my anxiety was going up, and I was getting pissed, and all of a sudden, just because of our talks and and me kind of just replaying things in my head, I was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Like I said that to myself, and like I was all pissed, and I wanted to get out of the sun. I was for no reason.
Yeah.
No reason. And looking back now, man, that was I would lay in bed at night when I was going to school, and I'd create all these scenarios with these people that I didn't like from school, and just keep myself up all night worrying about it, and nothing would ever fucking happen.
Yeah. Uh-oh. It's giving me the little. Is my connection good?
So far, so good. Yeah.
Okay. It was flashing a little Wi-Fi signal at me. We've had so much wind here and storms the last few days, man. It's been nasty. But what you just said reminded me. So I'm in a similar but completely different scenario right now. So I've been with this company that I work for since July of last year, right? And love the job. It is almost like it was custom built for me. Lots of freedom, lots of traveling, pretty much, right. It suits my personality. Great. And then I've now met a national, he's the executive vice president for risk and safety for the largest apartment company in the country, from a development all the way through construction to owning the units, renting them out, everything. And it's like, our East Coast manager quit. I'm looking for somebody. And I'm not stupid. If possible or an opportunity presents itself and it's better than what I currently have, obviously it behooves me to explore this possibility. Because if you know anybody who's interested, let me know. I said, well, Shane, I'm not looking for a job. I love my job. But if you think that I'm qualified, let's talk. He's like, well, send me your resume. I said, okay. So sending my resume, and like basically in the resume, I just put, hey, Shane, we never even talked about credentials or experience or what it is you're looking for. So here's the resume. Like we said, look it over. I'm welcome and open to feedback, thinking that he's going to say, hey, I'm looking for, an ASP certification or some, fancy construction safety certification. He just immediately responds back. He goes, looks good. I sent it to HR. It's like, so that's the setup to the story. So now in my mind for the last, I don't know, 8 hours, where it is 8 o'clock. So about 8 hours. I've been sitting there going, like, well, how am I going to tell my boss who's dropped a whole bunch of on my training that I am about to leave and go through? And I'm like, I don't have a job. I don't even have an interview. Your brain's just constantly is like, hey, we're going to predict the future based off of past events. So stuff that's not happening now, but possibly could have happened in the past. We're going to create a scenario for the future for you to worry about and you to figure out how to solve so that you can't live in the moment right now.
Yep.
It's like, slow down.
Hell yeah.
Just.
Yeah.
So,
uh-oh.
I talk about this stuff all the time, and it happens to me all the time still. So.
And so, yeah, for anybody listening that's in recovery, and I'm talking to myself here too, like, we can convince ourselves that so much is impossible. But, if you look back at what we were doing, and I look back at what I was doing, fifth plus a day, half gallon a day toward the end, there was no light at the end of that tunnel. And now all of a sudden I'm working in recovery. I'm getting to do a podcast with cool people. And, human nature, I guess, or maybe it's society has created this way where it's like we have to be nervous about everything.
I would definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, I don't know. I like these talks because it really causes you to have to investigate a lot of your thinking.
Well, and part of what to kind of piggyback what you just said and I bring a lot of our conversations back to this all the time, but part of the reason why we invent these scenarios is so that we can solve them. And if you've listened to anything I've said in the past, you probably can already figure out like the reason why we invent them so that we can solve them is so that we can be right about what the problem was, therefore reinforcing our ego. So your ego wants to be right all the time. So it's going to create something for it to fix. Happens all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, kind of like what you just said. We want to be prepared.
Yep. I mean, that's human nature to want to be prepared. Thing is, you can't be like Batman and prepare for everything.
Yeah. Son of a bitch. He's the one human that had it all figured out.
Yeah, man. Got a gadget for everything. And if he didn't, he just had a wicked sneer. So, what else we got?
I don't know. I mean, I enjoyed looking up and seeing 45 people checking us out and listening in. That's so cool. I just wish there was a way to communicate a little better. So if you are listening on X and you shoot us a DM, shoot a comment.
I don't have any notifications ever on mine. Let's see if I can find yours. Oh. No, just your comment.
Just us.
Just us. Oh, wow. But I mean, it is Friday night. So.
It is Friday night and still 45 people listening. So
yeah,
we're cool enough for 45 people. Or watch my brain work here. We're cool enough for 40 some people and 5 people that don't like us.
Yeah. So it's went downtown to grab some dinner tonight. It's graduation at UGA in Athens, Georgia tonight. So lots of traffic, lots of people walking around in cap and gowns, which is always fun. Yeah.
We got Mother's Day this weekend.
Mother's Day this weekend. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms.
Sure. Yeah, way of protecting ourselves, preparing ourselves.
Absolutely. Yep. Because again, if you are safe, because think about this, if we're going to protect ourselves, right? The only way that we can evaluate whether we're safe or not is basically kind of on a yes/no system. And that's, am I safe? Well, am I hurt? No. Is somebody coming after me? No. Am I about to get hit by a car? No. So therefore I'm safe, right? So then our ego wants to be correct. So it's going to make all these things that you're going to focus on doing in order to be safe from all these imaginary problems. Now, that doesn't mean that life's not going to happen and, some freak accident happens. Freak accident happens, that's going to happen. But could you have prevented the freak accident? No, that's the whole definition of a freak accident, right? So you either live life knowing that a freak accident could happen and you live life anyway, or you can live life letting your ego try and keep you safe from all of these imagined problems that don't exist. Now, I'm not saying at the same time, I'm not saying, be stupid and go walk down a dark alley in the middle of Brooklyn at night with $100 bills hanging out of your pocket. That's not a freak accident.
Treading lightly here with my comment.
Go ahead. Come on.
So what's your thoughts then? So we can create all these things, and I don't know why it came. Well, I know why it came to end. There was a story that is probably it is irrelevant to what we were talking about. But that ego can also go the other way to make us feel comfortable. We're like, okay, we got this figured out. I remember hearing this story from this guy.
Okay.
and he talked about how they were traveling on the highway. It was him and his two daughters, and he, for whatever reason, he just said, I don't know why, but I just took this exit. We stopped and got something to drink, and we got back on the expressway. And when we did, there was like a 12-car pileup, and we would have been in that thing. We would have been stuck in the middle of that thing. So I know that this was, he said it was God saving him and his daughters.
Sure.
And I should point out the background of the story was I'm not a believer, and he was trying to convince me that this happened. And so, oh boy, am I going down a shithole right now. But and I'm not trying to be mean, but I said, okay, so what about the other people that were in it then? Why weren't they diverted? Like, you know, and I'm like,
you're asking me, yeah.
I'm like, I get that it's a wonderful story and you can feel like somebody's looking out for you or whatever. But why you?
Yep.
I mean, why not them? And it was going back to the ego thing that comes to that kind of kept me away from like religious stuff, because it does happen a lot. In my experience, it happens a lot. There was a lady that came in, Miley. I won't say what Miley does, but anyway, Miley works very closely with people, and she had this client come in, and she's like, you know, my dog just passed away, super upset, but I went and I found another dog. I prayed on it, and I got another dog that's just like my other dog.
Sure.
And my prayers were answered. And so Miley comes home and tells this story, and she's like, oh, that's such a sweet story. And then me. So we have prayers being answered for another dog when other people are going through all these other things.
Yeah.
You know, but we want to feel special.
Mm-hmm.
And then kind of like what we were talking about, we want to create these scenarios or whatever to be prepared or whatever we were talking about before, but we'll also create the shit out of things just to make ourselves feel like we're Neo.
Yeah. So I have two kind of gut responses to that. Yeah. I think to an extent your thoughts on the ego there could be very applicable. I mean, it's definitely if you're a believer in fate, you know, predestination, something like that, and the guy pulled off because it was not his time to go or his daughter's time to go, and you're 100% belief in that, then your ego is going to use that for sure as an example of saying, see, you're right about your beliefs. You know what I'm saying? So that's there. My personal belief is that there are times in our lives when we are able to truly tap into our intuition just based off of, I don't have a better way else to say it than the collective frequency around us, as far as what everybody is thinking, feeling, all the emotions. So for me, I kind of take that as, you know, something within him and his intuition said, hey, you know, pull off. So he did, listening, not realizing that something was telling him to. Personally, now that this is I might lose some followers over this one. Personally, how do I word this? I don't think that God or whatever higher being you believe in is pulling the strings on that level. It's not saying, all right, it's your time to go. It's not your time to go. Here you go. You're out of here. Come back home to me. It's time for dinner. I don't think that's the way it works. All right. The way I think it works is, as part of the collective conscious, we get to use Earth as a playground to create. It's like the ultimate sandbox. Right? It's the ultimate AI reality simulator. So we get to come down here with certain lessons that we want to learn, which we call fate. I'm going to call fate. My fate is these lessons. My free will is how I, as the character, get to experience those lessons. So, and I've talked about this in the past where, people talk about being grateful for being an addict, being grateful. No, I don't think you're grateful for that at all. You might be grateful for the lessons you've learned. And I firmly believe that had I not had an alcohol problem, an alcohol addiction issue, I would have learned these lessons through another path, another modality, so to speak. So I think if there is a creator who is, like you said, saying, all right, you 3 get to live, you 12 are going to die, I'm going to give her a puppy. That's not the picture of an all-encompassing love that I believe in. So anyway.
I like what you say, man, and I like my TikTok algorithm is kind of based on spirituality and like vibration and connection and manifesting and all these connections that we have, these energies that we give off or whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I am open to almost anything when it comes to, because we really don't know. There's that missing link in the evolutionary stages where we just haven't found that connection yet. So there is a door open there.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a discussion because I do talk about being an atheist. I think it's hidden behind the scenes on my X feed because I just commented on it randomly. But I had a guy tell me he was talking the other day, and I was having a back and forth with him, and he told me that I said, well, he made a comment about atheism and evolution being hand in hand, and to be an atheist means you believe in evolution. And I was like, actually, and I posted the definition, atheism has nothing to do with evolution. It just means a lack of belief in a god or gods.
Yeah.
Oh, he wasn't going to have anything. Oh, here we go. We got another one that's denying their religion. And it's like, okay, I'm going to see myself out on this discussion because those are two completely different things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. But so I don't believe, and I don't have a reason to believe yet, but I do. The door is open. I'm willing to be convinced. Yeah. And I've said it before that poster on the back of Fox Mulder's wall in X-Files in the basement office, it says, I want to believe. I do. I want to believe in something. I want to believe that it's more than just waking up and doing a whole bunch of stupid shit and then dying and going back to the ground and nothing. Ricky Gervais was asked one time, because he's a fairly well-known atheist. He said, well, what do you think happens when you die? He's like, well, I think it'd be a lot like before I was born. And it's like, yeah, that's not, I mean, that's both terrifying and not terrifying at the same time. Like, because you just won't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so I'm willing. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to kind of go back to the evolutionary thing. Have you encountered Greg Braden on any of the stuff you've watched?
It's not ringing a bell.
I'll send you some of his stuff. So there is some really, really interesting evidence about how the human brain took a massive leap in its ability. They call it the leap of consciousness. Basically, in the brain's ability to function as a human versus a primate. And so when you go and you look at the human genome, there are sections of our genome that they call it junk DNA, which is like, hey, we have no idea why this is here. We can't, basically it doesn't work the way we understand genes to work. There's no on switch or off switch or something like that. It's junk DNA. There's something about, I think it's the second gene that they've been able to kind of go in and look at. And the second and maybe the third genes were spliced and like fused together. And this is what took us from primates who can make noises with their mouths to being able to have speech and sing and control our vocal cords and the structures of our larynx and our mouth to produce words, and how we have the Broca and Wernicke's area of the brain, which understands words and is able to put words with meaning and process those sounds into meaning. And so it's really, really interesting because all this stuff is supposed to happen over the course of millions of years, but it happened in like that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember what they call it. It's been a while since I've listened to some of his stuff, but I'll just have to find it and send it to you. And it's just, like I said, I drive a lot, so I listen to a lot of stuff. So
Oh yeah.
It's-
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, well, if you've ever watched Ancient Aliens on,
man.
and
Yeah.
I know a lot of people are just, they hear that and they're like, oh my God. But
Yeah.
you know what? If you look into like Zecharia Sitchin's work and stuff, it's
We
it's quite interesting.
yeah.
And it, to me, I remember the first time that I read a thorough summary of Zecharia Sitchin's work. I was in my early 20s and I was sitting alone in the dark. My roommate, he wasn't around, and I read it and I jumped out of my chair and I'm like, oh my God, that's it.
Yeah. Eric Von Däniken.
Yeah, Eric Von Däniken, he's another one. Billy Carson is interesting. He talks about the Emerald Tablets and Thoth.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I sent you some stuff about Paul Wallace, like when we first kind of connected. Paul Wallace is kind of our generation's Eric Von Däniken. Very much picked up that torch and can you continue to run with it. His books are.
I'll have to check him out then for sure.
So yeah.
Quick breakdown of the ancient astronaut theory is it kind of brings in that what Adam was talking about, that leap that we made. The primates were here, everything was kind of going as long as Mother Nature was willing it, and all of a sudden we just bam, we were something else.
Yeah.
And it's other intelligent beings came here and kind of messed around with our DNA to help them do labor, and in exchange they showed us how to do agriculture and build things and taught us languages and then that kind of stuff. That's kind of like the brief of it. And like I said, I don't know, but some things just make more sense than others. But anyway, so I had my first attempt at doing something on social media. The page was called GRIP. That was an acronym. It was Guild of Researchers Investigating the Paranormal. And it's probably still out there on Facebook if you look for it. And we did ghost hunting, I did ghost hunting. I had a buddy that did it with me a couple times, but I was always posting my research, like the ancient paintings that they have back, like Mary holding baby Jesus.
Uh-huh.
If you look back behind it, there's this little man. When you wouldn't notice it, but there's a man and a dog looking up in the sky, and the man's pointing up, and there's this big fireball in the sky. There's so many like UFOs. There's a painting of the crucifixion of Christ. There's two UFOs. There's one like a ball of fire and another one that's got 3 spikes. It's a ball and 3 spikes coming out, and it's pointing on the edge at the crucifixion of Christ. So there's a lot of things out there. So anyway, she asked, I wonder why people don't ask ghosts. They have, but then it all goes back to if credibility. You know what I mean? So I don't know how far you want to go in this conversation, Adam, but I will say this. Okay, so when I was in middle school, we got the Ouija board out one time, a buddy of mine, and I had this crush on this girl, and I asked, and we lived in a small town, so everybody's phone number started 465, every single person in our small town. So I asked for the last 4 digits of this girl's phone number. It gave us 4 digits of this phone number, and we ran down to the phone book. I'm that old. And we looked under the last name, and sure enough, there was that exact number in the phone book. I went to school and I asked her, and she's like, "Yeah, that's my phone number. How'd you know?" So that's just one weird experience that I like to talk about sometimes because it doesn't make any sense. Yeah. How does that happen? 4 random numbers?
Yeah.
Oh, Miley just sent me a text and said we are exploring our nerds. I'm the one over here running my mouth. Adam's just over here laughing at me.
Oh, we've never really talked about this much, so it's fun. There's a lot of the more I delve into trying to understand my purpose in life, the more I discover some of how much more sense a lot of these esoteric beliefs really make sense. And then that always branches off into kind of a where did we come from, conversation or something, rabbit hole, which is always fun. So yeah, talking about the Sumerians and we won't go there. We won't go there.
Okay, so this is what I want to do. I want to tomorrow or Sunday night, because I wanted to branch this over here. You see the logo back there?
Yeah.
You can't see the top of it. There's a UFO, and the guy's ascended into a UFO. All right, so this is my bag. This is my cup of tea. So I don't know what your schedule is, but I'm going to do a live tomorrow night or Sunday night, and I'm going to talk about all the stuff and experiences that I've had. I'll even talk a little bit about the ghost hunting that I've done. So this way you're warned tomorrow. If you're coming out here to hear some like, hey, let's talk recovery like they normally do. And then you tune in and Scott's talking about being in the basement of this house and catching an EVP where the little girl says, I'm here. What the fuck? So now you've been warned.
Are they sober for real?
Yeah. It's Friday night. What's in that blue cup he's got that you can't see? Oh, there it is. Ice cold water.
Yeah.
And the other thing is most delicious Dr. Pepper. Please sponsor me.
Oh, look, you went 0 sugar. Look at you.
Oh, yeah, dude. It's delicious. Oh, something else I'm going to try maybe this weekend. Maybe I'm going to try it. There's this TikTok thing going around of Dr. Pepper and pickles. Mix the two, and people are saying they don't understand how it works, but it works.
What?
I might try it.
What's it?
Maybe I don't know. It's supposed to taste really, really good. So, I'll probably maybe I'll mix it and drink it when we go live next time.
You're gonna have to document that one for sure.
Yeah.
Did you ever have a pickleback in your drinking days?
Pickleback.
You ever heard of that?
No.
So, it's a couple different ways to do it, but it's like it's a shot of whiskey and a shot of pickle juice.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I think
yeah, I've done shots of pickle juice for sure. But I've also done shots with ranch, mustard. I know we did stupid shit.
Yeah. Shots of hot sauce. Yeah. Shot of Tabasco is 95.
Shots of what?
Tabasco.
Oh yeah. Oh, Tabasco too. Yeah. Frank's Red Hot.
Yeah.
Idiots.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Yeah. I should go tomorrow or Sunday.
All right. Well, we're having dinner tomorrow for Mother's Day. So happy Mother's Day to the mothers out there, except for mine. I don't like you. But I just try to sneak that one in.
No.
But it's it's an honest program, right, Adam? So.
Yes.
He's got some resentments. Nah, I don't have resentments, but I enjoy throwing that shit out there once in a while. So.
Hey, so for those of y'all out there that don't know this, apparently you can experience the promises from AA without working the program.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I was told today that I was enjoying the 10th step promises.
And how many times have you been through the steps?
In the last 5 years.
See, here's the thing, Mr. Adam. What you don't realize is that you are working the steps without working the steps.
That's right. But according to some, I'm not an alcoholic. I'm just a moderate drinker.
That's true too. That's true too, because you're not really working the steps.
Yeah.
And that's really great news. That's really great news because, if you get sober, you're not an alcoholic. So
man.
If you're not working the steps, you're not an alcoholic. So why call yourself that anymore? So there we go.
I almost threw that back. I was like, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, that's a good friend though. A good friend that will not be mentioned.
Yeah, I almost threw that back at him. But anyway.
Well, this one was a little bit back and forth and wackadoo, but 60 people listening. Thank you.
Yeah.
Seriously, it's fun. I wish we could interact more. I'm going to keep trying to find a better way to do that. But yeah, Adam, we'll see you on the next one this weekend. And appreciate you and thank you. I mean, we got Facebook, YouTube, and X, a bunch of people. So thank you so much.
We'll get my tinfoil hat ready.
Ooh, good one. And I'll get my alien shit out.
Get the colander out.
You know what? Let's both make tinfoil hats.
All right.
That's what we'll wear for the entire episode. Awesome. All right. Well, look for the announcement on X and YouTube and Facebook. Look out for the Sober Heathen Paranormal coming up this weekend. All right. Good night, everybody.
Adios.